So, welcome again. This is the Rolling Oldies. I'm Lonnie.
Gary.
And today we're doing a second video on position adjustments that we have to make when we get kind of stuck in certain places and we have to make old man adjustments to make it work. So, first one we have noted down here is which one? Pardon my glasses. Oh, and also forgot my belt today, so I'm wearing a loaner here that looks like crap. So anyway. Deep half guard to X guard. Okay. Yeah. All right. So in a deep half guard, when you're trying to kind of get to X, maybe we'll rotate a little more this way so you're facing the camera. Okay. So we get to here, and we're trying to get kind of up into X guard. We really would lift this foot, right? I could just put my foot under. Well, for us, it's a little harder. Usually, their foot's not, all the way out like that. There's not a lot of room there, or if it is, they're really leaning back, and there's just not a lot of room for us to get our foot in. So, the old man trick is now to turn this way to get this foot underneath, right? Or rotate this way to get this foot underneath, right? To be able to lift. Or if you're kind of straight up and down, then it's the bridge to lift that foot to get underneath either this foot, or this foot. So that's the little changes we got to make to kind of to make up for that shit, because usually I can't.
These have they have been tried.
Yeah, the young player, they can get their heel to their butt on their own, like really easily, right? Okay, I can't do that. So that little trick to help get into,
that's that hip dexterity and that.
Yeah, exactly, right. That's the whole problem that we're running into a lot. So to overcome that, it's about kind of shifting your hips, right? Rotating your hips one way or another, or bridging a little to give yourself space. So that's a little tweak on that one that we got to do. Do you find that
I find it
works too?
It works.
Yeah.
It definitely works. This is a move that we both were practicing and using at the same time, and it was kind of like, well, wait a minute, I can't move that way. He's like, I can't move that way either.
And luckily we talked about it at the time, and the professor was able to help kind of say, oh yeah,
if you tweak it this way and you turn a little bit,
absolutely.
Believe me, it works.
Yeah, definitely helpful. So, yeah. So if you guys run into that, trying to get into X guard, what do you guys do to try to help you get into X guard from like the deep half or even some other position you try, even your whatever entry you're using to get into either single X or X. So half guard pass. Oh yeah, that's the hand thing. Okay. All right. So he's got me in half guard, right? So he's got knee shield, he's got half guard, and I'm trying to pass his half guard. Well, and I apologize if we're doing these moves like incorrectly. Just bear with us. We're white belts, so we don't know shit. So anyway, so you got to step over to kind of flatten them out, right? And what they were, what they kind of teach is, in this move, is to take this gi with you and take it to the ground, right? To kind of keep that shoulder where it's at. Well, for me, that's really hard on my hands. So what I have to do is just to keep kind of the head in place and not really pin the shoulder, but kind of pin the shoulder, is to basically just take the hand and place it by the head instead of trying to grab this gi and push it to the ground.
Down to the ground.
Because it's awkward on my wrist, it's hard on my hands and all that. So what we end up doing, like I say, I'll put my hand, I flatten him, right? And I put my hand by his head, right? And almost kind of pinning his shoulder there to an extent, right? And then doing the step over and going into crossface, right? So that's, you can kind of come out and pass, right? But that's the adjustment that I have to make, is that posting the hand by the head instead of, grabbing the gi and just trying to
force your
force
hand
it into the,
inside
yeah,
and hold,
then twist it and kind of
rip open the gi.
put your fist down. It's hard. It's hard on the
Especially
hands.
if you know, in our last video we talked about
Yeah.
grip strength.
Yeah.
And we talked about
Exactly.
hands. Grip strength, that's all connected into your wrist, into your hands. And if you're having a problem doing that, you have to make these little tweaks and adjustments.
Yeah,
That's what we're
absolutely.
finding out as white belts.
Yeah, so that's definitely, you know, it's just a little change, but it's something that I'm just worried about him moving away from me as I'm stepping over. Then just posting that hand helps rather than worrying about trying to mess with that collar. So, all right, so that was number 2. Number 3 was back take turn. Oh yeah, back take second hook. Okay, so this is let's say I have him. I took his back, but not completely, right? Let's say, you know, I get one hook in. And I'm trying to get this other hook in, and let's do the other one so they can see what I'm doing. All right, so I'm trying to get that second hook in, right? And he's keeping his elbow knee tight, right? I can't really get my foot in because, number one, my hip flexors suck, and I just don't have the flexibility, right? I can probably get to like here, you know? So the adjustment you gotta make is sort of shifting the hip, putting that leg through and making space, right? For your other leg, and then hook it in and come in. So that's just a little adjustment that we're talking about making to make it a little easier to get that second hook.
Call them old guy tweaks.
Yeah, it's like a
Old man tweaks.
it's an old guy rotation, right? To try to make space for that second leg, and then get the, you know, once you get the foot in, then you kind of come back to center, right? But yeah, that was the because we keep trying to go against these young kids, and they got their elbow to knee is so tight. It's like, what the?
Yeah, and
But-
they're boxed
Yeah.
in real tight.
But they have a hard time if you're sneaking toes in across their midsection into that little hole, right? And then you just kind of push it out as you stretch them, and it opens up to get that second hook in. So anyway, that's what seems to work for me, and you know, him too. So you know, we're gonna do what we gotta do.
Believe me, we're not complaining. But
Well,
yeah, we
I'm
are.
not complaining. All right. Speaking of which, we got so we've gone through the 3 adjustments. Let's talk about our wins, right? So go ahead. You go first this time.
Oh man, I would say, and right on the topic that we're talking about is flexibility. That was a big issue when I first started, and it bothered me because there are a lot of moves that you can't do if you don't have that flexibility in your hips, in your hamstrings, in your shoulders. And so
Yeah.
my biggest achievement, my biggest win, as I'm becoming more flexible, more maneuverable, more agile, which it helps my game out quite a bit. Plus, it's good for recovery.
Yeah, and we'll have to see, like, as we move along too, you know, granted it's going to improve slower than most, but as we do improve in flexibility, maybe some of these position adjustments no longer apply.
Exactly.
Right? Maybe years from now it's not the case, right?
Yeah.
Because we've worked on our flexibility, and maybe it does get better enough to where we don't need that adjustment.
You won't see us complaining so much.
Yeah, right. Yeah, there won't be as much complaining. Yeah, but yeah, so that's absolutely, and I can see that I've gotten more flexible from the beginning.
That
too.
has been a big thing, and in your 50s, being flexible and being
That's huge,
agile.
right?
Oh man, it's a great thing. It's a great feeling.
Yeah.
So
That's the last thing I want to say is I've fallen and I can't get up. So.
yeah, it'll keep you longer on the mat and longevity.
Yeah, absolutely. So for mine, it was just starting to get an offensive game, right? So, I was working on basically survival and defense for so long.
Yeah.
Well, not so long. It sounds like I've been doing this forever, but since I started, right, been working on survival and defense, and now I'm starting to pick up kind of
Feels
little
good
pieces in
yeah,
an offensive game, right?
To build a game, trying to build a game.
Yeah. So that's been fun, and it's starting to work. So I really am enjoying that aspect.
Again, welcome to the journey.
Yeah, right. Yeah, little baby steps, right?
Yeah.
So
That's what it is.
anyway, so yeah, I think that's it, right? Okay.
Sure.
So that's it for this segment. We're Rolling Oldies. I'm Lonnie,
Gary,
and we'll see you next time.
have a good one.
Later.